Bum bum. Yeah. How's it going? How's it going? Yeah. It is Monday. Happy Monday to you and welcome. If you've never been here before, my name is TJ Taurai Jack, and we talk about anything and everything around property, from buy to lets, from flipping, from development to student accommodation to Airbnb, anything around real estate, we talk about it. Right. And it is a great pleasure of me to actually bring you this story here of a good friend of mine who went on to do an MBA at the same time that I was actually beginning also to learn about property. At the same time that I was beginning to do property the right way, learning how to invest in property. And it's almost about 4 to 5 years later, and we had a heart-to-heart conversations over the last couple of weeks. And within this video, I just want to actually zoom in a little bit on what is it that you actually need, right? Because I think there was an elephant in the room that we needed to discuss, and we had the opportunity to discuss it. So I'm going to take you back to around about 2015, 2014, and I was doing my chicken business at the time, and it was doing well, and I was also failing dismally. So why was I doing well? At the beginning, I was just investing with someone else with the chickens, and I didn't know what they were doing. And I decided, let me buy my own farm. And out of buying my own farm, I partnered up with these guys in 2015, 2016. Their company folded. So I was left with a big farm with big infrastructure. And I lost kind of like everything at the time. So around about 7 million that I lost, we ended up selling the farm for around an additional 2 million. And that then set me back around about 5 million between my wife and I. And out of that, here is the thing, right? When I lost that money, it didn't mean that I wasn't educated or anything like that. I had actually now started, because I was doing well before that, the year before that, I started wanting to see where else can we put this money that we are earning. And that's when I went into seminars around property, and some of you have been in these seminars. Long and behold, we needed to actually pay for this. And I remember I took my wife in there, and out of that, the amount of money that I ended up paying between my wife and I, what we ended up paying was just above 100,000 Rand. Okay. And some of you these days, you're paying quite like peanuts for a property education. That's how much money I paid. We still have the receipt. The other day, my wife and I, we were looking at the receipts, like, wow, is this how much money we paid? But I didn't have 100,000. I remembered we had about 10 to 15,000 that we paid for the first time round. And then we had to go back home, and for 7 days, we needed to make the payment, the full payments of up to the 100,000 that I'm talking about. But having said that, I started looking for money from anyone and everyone. And I remembered reaching out to a friend of mine. And at the time, I didn't know that he was also fundraising for his trip, or should I say, his MBA trip, right? So at the same time, when I was learning property, when I started, I'm looking for money to do my property business, to do my property education. He's looking for money to do his MBA. Right. So our journeys of him doing his MBA kind of like shoot off almost at the same time. At the end of the year of 2016, he flew to the UK, and boom, he started off his MBA in 2017. And round about 2016, in let's just say November, December, I started really learning hard around this property thing. And I went on and I'm learning 2017. I started implementing and things like that. And he then advised me that he was back, right? And this was almost like a year and a half ago, and we caught up and things like that. At the back of this, I now have a business. And in today's term, I've got a business now that is, that have, you all know M5 Property Addicts, but maybe you don't. So I'm going to just give it to you. So we've got an M5 varsity where other investors, other people that want to learn how to invest property can go and learn. That's business number one. So I replicated what I learned and I gave it my own experience. And then the school started off together with my partners. Then the second thing is that I also have a business where I do rentals. And the third thing is that I also have other partners that I work with. Collectively, I now own and I run that business, and we are managing just above 200 tenants, and with a number of students accommodation in the Cape Town area. I've got employees that are now working for me, and this is no means by impressing, like trying to like tell you this is what I'm doing, and well, it's just what, if you have to put your mind in property, that's what it can give you. In the same breath, I want to run the same parallel with my friend who then went out to the UK. He did his MBA and then he came back. When he came back about a year and a half ago, the first thing that he went on to do was he was looking for a job. And 2 months when he landed, he got a job and he was working. Where at the beginning of COVID, they were talking about retrenchments, and he reached out to me and he said to me, you know what, TJ, I've been thinking about your experience and my experience. And I didn't see this coming, this conversation that we had. But the bottom line is that he was comparing his spend of his MBA with where I am right now. And I said to him, that's unfair to do, because I don't think that maybe he could have reached the same level where I've reached now had he done that. Or neither do I think that having an MBA is more important than not having one. And out of all of these conversations, we then, together, the two of us, we went into actually, start to investigate. Is it actually important to get an MBA? Is it actually important to get a degree? Or should we just be focusing on these short courses that really teach you the craft of what you're looking for? So for instance, going in to learn how to do property investment, and you don't have to waste the money to go and do an MBA and things like that. And I'm saying it in a very light manner here in terms of waste. Yeah, I'm saying waste, but it's not a waste, it is an investment. So which is better? To go for your MBA to the UK, you come back, you get a job, right? And then later on, you get retrenched. He just got his letter recently. And this is where the conversation is starting off, because I think he's looking at himself where he's employed and he's been retrenched and I still have a business, but he doesn't understand some of the struggles that I get into the business of managing employees, of managing these buildings and things like that. He doesn't see it as an outside, so he thinks that that is awesome. But then I want to come back to the conversation or to say, okay, so what's better here? Having the degree, having the having the MBA, or going in for this investment, property investment courses? And in a nutshell, when I look at it all, my recommendation was that if you get an MBA, you can get a job. If you get a job, you can go out, you can go and buy properties, because you've got a job, you've got a pay slip, and you're being paid money. So you can save with that money and you can go and buy properties. So my view is that an MBA is needed, but it might not be needed as well. So it is needed if you are going to be following your dream. What is your dream? Is it to do property? And if it is your dream to do property, then you need to do both. What is both? Do the MBA and go and do property investments. So the other thing that I also want to then talk about is that between me and my friend, we then spoke about, do you actually enjoy what you do? And between the two of us, we realized that it was a necessity, and he wanted to please his father, who is a doctor. So his father has got a doctorate, and he wanted to do an MBA and show his father that he's doing well from an academic perspective. So he's not living his dream. So the question that we also want to ask now ourselves and ask you is, what is your dream? Is your dream to be in property, or to follow the passion of whatever skill it is? So I can then challenge the thinking and say, how about doing an MBA in the field of real estate. Is there something wrong with that? I don't think there is. So you see where I'm going in with all of this. You can't compare the two to say, is it better to do an MBA? Is it better to do a degree? In my view, you need everything, right? So what do I mean by you need everything? If I look into my business right now, there is people that are way educated than I am. Some got 2 to 3 degrees. I don't have all of that, all right? So with that, they have become my employees and they're getting paid. But at the back of that, they can also go then feed their families and potentially have their own business, their own properties and things like that, if that is that where their passion lies. So the question here, and my today's conversation is to probe your thinking, not to give you answers, because yes, an MBA is good. Yes, a degree is good. Yes, property investment is good. Do you really need all of it? Maybe your passion is not even in property at all. It is somewhere else. And if it is somewhere else, then follow that and chase it. But if it is in property, then you need to start from somewhere. Like I did. I started off with my course that I did, and that course costed me 100 grand. And I haven't counted how much money I have spent in between, because I've also been spending some money in between to educate myself. So that's what you need to be looking at in terms of where you are. And I call this your disability, but basically things that you don't know how to do. You now need to go in and understand what you are lacking. And with that, you can start educating yourself in all of this. I remember back in the days, I didn't know how to network, like general networking, things like that, how to talk to people. I had to go and learn how to do that. I didn't know how to do YouTube. I didn't even know how to speak on Facebook like this. I had to go and learn how to do it. So all of this, what I'm saying is that follow the passion and learn and build your skills as you go. Yes, you might need the MBA. Maybe you don't. Maybe you might need the degree. Maybe you don't. But above all, these are all skills that we need in life. I can't do with some of the people in my business who are much more knowledgeable than I am, who also have MBAs, degrees, other people that I consult with that have doctrines and degrees from here to there. So do I need to be having these degrees and MBAs? No. Can I employ other people who are like that? Yes. Can I consult with them? Yes. Can I go and learn? Yes. So the question still stands. Is it better for you to do an MBA, to do your degree? My friend suggests that he thinks that it was wasted money, and the experience that he got by doing his MBA, yes, was amazing. He went to see overseas and worked overseas and all, but he's looking at where the economy is now, and he's looking at his circumstances and his journey. We can never judge him because that's his journey. But we are not here to judge him. We are here to judge ourselves based on our circumstances and improve it. That's the most important part. So it is I, TJ, Taurai Jack. I'm hoping that this video here has actually taught you something that you can potentially do. What is potentially do? Take action into the area that you want to do. If it is property investment that you want to do, in the link below, there is a link in there. And we are going to be giving you great tips on how you can start. But over and above that, whether you've got an MBA, whether you got a degree, it doesn't matter. You still need this skill. Because as an employee, I guarantee you that your kids will never be able to inherit your employee number and everything else that you've got there at your employer. But when you're building an empire and buying properties and things like that, you are guaranteed that your kids are going to inherit this wealth that you're building. I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, let's check you out on the next video.